Are you looking for the best ways to capture new leads in 24? Buckle up and check out this episode of Level Up Your Lead Gen, as we are going to dive in the modern ways for prospecting, marketing, and advertising strategies so that you can scale your business. What is going on, Zoodealio? I am Elliot. I am going to be your host today for Leveling Up Your Lead Gen, and today we are going to be talking about how to generate new leads now. I'm really excited to be able to share this framework with you today. We are going to be talking about some of these three major buckets: prospecting, marketing, advertising, and I'm going to introduce you to another framework that I refer to as the 3 M's, which I stole from Dan Kennedy, author of Magnetic Marketing, one of the most brilliant godfathers in the marketing space. He's even, the Russell Brunson's mentor. And so again, not my original thought that what I'm going to be sharing with you, but going to be introducing you to these frameworks on how you can connect to this and really ultimately sourcing what that is coming from. How is your new year off and running, right? Today is the 5th of February, if you can believe it already. And one of the biggest things that I know for me is goals, initiative, and then execution around those. And for me personally, right, I'm a big book guy, so I'm going through a book I just started last week called Vivid Vision. And the whole premise of it is the clarity of your vision, right? That it's so different than having a goal board or even a mission statement, a business thesis, right? Like those types of things that really ultimately you want to be able to spell out your vision and articulate it almost like it is a screenplay for a movie, that you're going to be able to give details. And those of you that are in leadership roles of you have team members or agents underneath you, employees, etc., really making sure that they are bought into that vision by sharing with them, not only the nucleus of it all, but the little nuances of the pieces of it, and then ultimately how they can fit in it, and giving them initiative inside of that vision so that they become ultimately a leader, which is what the goal is, right? Is leaders want to create more leaders so that you can leverage things off and ultimately scale up and continue to build that big, powerful vision. How are you executing so far this year? What kind of a start are you off? Is it hot? Is it cold? Would you like to do more? What are you, and then other things I'd like you to think about, and that is how are you communicating with your audience? Are you doing the things that you need to be doing day in and day out? Do you have some things on autopilot so that you can get some of your time back on those high intent clients? Right? When clients that are engaging with your stuff, engaging with you on the offers, clients that their house has been expired, canceled, and they're open to seeing what a new offer is, looking to get their house sold in 2024, really trying to liquidate that cash because they know that the rates are more than likely coming down, and they're going to be able to take advantage of these opportunities? Or are you introducing them to other strategies on where they maybe keep that house and help them buy their new house, right? There's so many different things that we can bring to you guys to make sure that we are capitalizing on this, and ultimately you're using Zoodealio as the lead machine that it is. That is one thing I will say before we really dive into today's content. So many practitioners in the space definitely see the marketing advertising side of Zoodealio, and they will scale out the message. They take the leads in because of the lead machine that it is, and if it's 10 to 15 listings to one every cash deal that they do, they're all good with that. Where sometimes I think the more intro member / user is really looking for only, hey, submit it, get a cash deal accepted, submit it, get a cash deal accepted. Don't get me wrong, of course, this is all designed to do cash deals and or listings. Either way, you're at the center of it winning, and that's the strategies of which we want to bring to you at Zoodealio. So it's not always about appeasing the cash buyers inside of the platform. It's really ultimately about you taking this tool, using it to bring to your audience, getting your audience to raise their hand, and you helping them through the process of the decision making of cash offer, list on the market, a fix it then list it, sell now, move later, or even, of course, the cash plus. So these are the different things that you guys are really able to take advantage of and ultimately crush it. We want to look at today on how we're going to generate leads right now. Let's, kind of have a discussion around this whole piece, because I think it's just so paramount in understanding prospecting, marketing, and advertising, right? Those are three main buckets that pretty much everything inside of your business growth is going to fit in there, right? So you have prospecting, which is ultimately taking the conversation, some type of manual effort in most cases, that you are bringing a solicitation, a direct offer to your prospect, okay? So last week, and I think a couple of other sessions ago, not last week because that was Kayla, but so it'd be 2 weeks ago, I was talking about the value ladder and how we can ultimately scale out a message, which would be a marketing thing, where we're going to draw them in, they're going to register, and sometimes that offer can be, hey, get a free list in X zip code with, homes that are 2,000 square feet and 350 or less, right? Or single-story homes that have a pool, right? Get an exclusive cash offer on your house. See the exclusive selling options for your home instantly. Right? These are all calls or offers that you're making out to your audience and wanting them to register. So these are, certain types of efforts, where prospecting is maybe working with more of like a canceled, an expired, a FSBO, a certain data set that is likely sellers. So let me give you a framework around canceled or an expired, right? Because I think it's one of the most clear and obvious ones. And for me personally, when I'm going to do prospecting, there's absolutely people that I'm going to meet them from a prospecting standpoint, and then I'm going to move them into that marketing bucket and also run my advertising bucket on them, right? So I'm going to show you the frameworks on all of that. But ultimately, I'm calling them and saying, hey, I see your house on 123 Main Street left the market unsold back in June of 23. And I was curious because the market has really potentially started to spike with rates coming down. And I got a couple of cash buyers that happened to be hunting in your area. And I was curious if I brought you a cash offer that made sense for you and your family, if that would be something that you'd be open to checking out. Yes, no, maybe so, right? So that is that script that I gave you guys exists in the script library. The one I always that's probably one of my number one go-tos, a version of that. And that's because it's what we did for years. It works like gold. 100% comes down to how many times are you going to dial the phone? How many times are you going to do that activity, text message? How many times are you going to IM people, Snapchat, private message people to be able to get the desired result. Okay, so that's where those frameworks for you need to really look at what is the body of the goal that I'm trying to achieve. Then are my actions lining up with what I'm trying to achieve? And just by pure numbers, right, the more we bring that message to them, number one, that increases our chances. Number two, the more we scale out or send out that message, the more effective we become in our communication and ultimately converting. But then from there, as we pull people through this, right, you have the people that are looking to transact right now, which is ultimately what a lot of times you want to do. You want to create those hot leads. Usually needs to do something in 30 days or less, decision something in 30 days or less. Then you have the people that are, I'll do it when X or when I'm ready or some piece of certain things. And that's where you really want to make sure that you keep your message of inspiration in front of them, right? That's where sometimes we start digging for the why they're trying to do what they're wanting to do. And then sometimes when we can uncover that why, that's how we're going to inspire the transaction to happen faster. Back to prospecting, just because I want to be crystal clear on this, right? This is us bringing the conversation to them. I gave you guys 3 different ways on how we could do that: phone calls, text message, IMing. Of course, there's also door knocking, there's also networking, there's social groups. There's so many different ways that we can actually bring the conversation to that prospect, right? So the prospecting, the root word of that is ultimately digging, right? Mining for diamonds, mining for gold, being an actual prospector, digging, sifting, looking for what it is, okay? So that is a now very, very high intent action, and usually not as scalable, right? Unless you have inside sales agents and or some other text machines and stuff like that you can send a message and be very responsive to it. But then I would say that those almost even start sliding into the marketing side. So let's go into the second bucket here, marketing. Because marketing is ultimately where we start being able to have, to me, like that biggest bucket. And when you're able to really grow that audience, right? The people that have been in the real estate game and have been very on purpose about this, their audience many times is in the tens of thousands or 20,000, people. I mean, shoot, I know plenty of people that have 100,000 plus contacts in their database. And that's in more times than not with valid information, right? So valid first name, valid last name, email address. Doesn't mean that they necessarily transacted with all of them, but they were able to acquire their valid information so that they can communicate their offer to them, right? And then that's where, again, I talk about this, seems like almost every form of a call, or on every call in some form, is because of the ability in which that you could leverage this, right? That's the whole point of this. So when we want to give that epic service, and because we are agents, that it's a very time intensive task to go do a listing appointment, to go show properties, to negotiate a Benzer, to work on some of your business plans, your marketing strategies, all of these types of things. And what I want to do is ultimately give you back some of that time so that you can build a bigger vision like we talked about in the very beginning. So on the marketing piece, right, what I wanted to do is, and again, I'm going to give you guys some tools and assets, as you can see here in the third bullet point, where you can find what I'm talking about inside of Zoodealio and how you can adopt these strategies and ultimately put them into play right away, right? So my goal in every time that we meet and discuss is to not only share the framework, the vision with you, then it's the execution of how you can go and do this and put it in your business and ultimately start doing more things as soon as you adopt it. As soon as we adopt it, as soon as we put it into play, the leads are going to start changing, right? You're going to create awareness, build interest, which is that top of funnel action around that value prop. Okay, so let's hit on a couple of more marketing actual strategies. So number 1, you're going to have just a generalized email campaign. You can have postcard campaigns, right, which is around a certain type of offer. You can have more of a text message marketing campaign where you're creating awareness around a value prop. And of course, we can have lead magnets that we are posting inside of social media. We can put lead magnets inside of our email campaigns, that are going to really ultimately pull people through. And when they're registering, so like, for example, how to sell your house by yourself in 2024. Right? You could absolutely send that out to your email campaign, and the people that are going to download that, right? It's a free ebook. That they're going to they're thinking about selling, right? So even though you have their contact information, this is why when I was talking about before, the people who have 100,000 people, if you have 100,000 people inside of a city, or 10,000 people, 1,000 people, right? Inside of whatever the demographic is, the reality of it is when we can scale out that message to, even though I already have their contact, they are showing me their behavior based on the call to action that I gave them. How to buy an investment property in 24. how to sell your house for cash and get top dollar in 24, right? So these are different frameworks that you could scale out to your audience, and the people that click that engage with it, and then especially download the ebook, right? And in eras of Chat GPT, you could literally create an ebook inside of 5 minutes, right? Think about it, go in there, manipulate it, like this part, that part, then you pull some of this stuff over into Canva, and then next thing you know, you've got yourself a pretty decent lead magnet, right? And then now all of a sudden we post it in social media, put it in my email campaigns, right? Those are 2 areas that my audience is going to be able to engage with this said lead magnet, i.e. marketing tool. And now, because they're based on what that call to action is, they're downloading it, and I'm capturing, really their intent. And so, again, I want everybody to be able to think about these types of things, because when we get them out there, it's going to help you capture higher quality leads and ultimately people that are ready to transact now. Okay, so let's talk about one other thing from a marketing aspect, because again, I think that campaigns for a long time, myself included, was underwhelming, to be completely honest, right? I do think that there's some that were okay, but it was really more about the agent being certain than really determining that motivation. So this was all brought about, right, from in the IDX rise / Internet Data Exchange, which is obviously your MLSs being able to syndicate through your website. You guys having a landing page, find homes in Chandler, less than $500,000, whatever. They come onto your site, they register, they want to, they click on the third picture, they register, boom, you get a new lead. Okay, so now you got a new lead, but now you get the whole goal from there is how many times can you touch them? How can you follow up with them? Hey, I see you've been checking out the house on Main Street here, 5 times in the last 2 weeks, and I was curious if you'd like me to set up a showing for you, right? So there'd be like those types of phone calls, but the value wasn't necessarily there quite as much, right? And a lot of the emails were just very adopted campaigns of, hey, I got a lender, hey, it was very little snippet, one-off email campaigns, right? That's the part what I'm talking about was kind of underwhelming. And I want to introduce you guys to a different concept of truly bringing value, right? This is why I was talking about a couple weeks ago within the value ladder of, hey, there's step 1 here where this is the offer. You're going to make this offer. They're going to do this. Here's step 2. Now that you have their contact information, how can you create, showcase the benefit of said feature to your prospect? Okay, so that's how we're moving them up this particular value ladder. And of course, at the peak pinnacle for what we're talking about is doing a transaction with them. Okay, so on this piece of it, there is another huge tool that we give you inside of Zoodealio, which I will go through in just a moment, which we have feverishly been working on. This is your guys' ability to be able to bring your database inside of Zoodealio. So this is where Blast is going to be able to now communicate some of these value propositions for you, to where it's going to monitor their home's value, show them what options and offers they instantly qualify for their house. So whether they're looking to do something now or in 18 months from now, this is where we start to see sellers engage and watch the trends, watch their value, and then of course, depending on the purpose of that move is what will help determine that timeline. And so this is where we want to be able to watch for their engagement and basically the intent of those people. So when they're looking at the report every single month, or they're looking at the report 3 times a month, all of that is being reported back to you inside of your agent dashboard, right? So there we go. This is what I want. So when you have the report, right, and you're leveraging tools like this to where you can really kind of pull them in and they can see the home, they can see the value, they can see different values options, right? And do know that this is, again, being real for just a second, this is point A for us on Blast, and we are feverishly working with some new data and some other really compelling things on a monthly basis. So kind of stay tuned, and you guys will see that. But what I want you guys to realize is all of this is being captured and reported in your back end, those clicks, those views, right? You can see in real time who's doing this. So this is back to what I was talking about, being part of that vision before is how do I get some of my time back? Well, when I can scale out my message to 5,000, 10,000 people, and I know that every 1,000 people I get, I'm going to get 7 to 10 high level of engagements, right? So just to let you guys know what the metrics are on this, this is currently having an open rate across the board of about 25 to 35%, and then the click rate on it is about 20% of that, right? So when you look at those numbers, that's how that piece, kind of maths out. And then from there, this is where we want to take that conversation to those leads. So this is that, giving you guys, again, the frameworks of what I'm talking about. This is where we go marketing. And then now we bring the conversation to them, which is more of a prospecting effort, right? So even though they didn't necessarily call me, they didn't say, hey, Elliot, I would like for you to come over and talk to me about this cash offer. I'd like for you to come over and tell me about fix and list it. I'd like for you to come over and tell me about my home's value and how much you could potentially sell it for on the market. Well, I'm capturing their interest, and now I can call them up and say, hey, Joy, it's Elliot over at Zoodealio Real Estate. Hey, I see that you've been checking out a couple of different options that are available for your house. And some of those are different cash options, ones where you could even cash out and lease your house back. And I was curious, are you looking at potentially doing something this year where I can educate you on the different variations of these offers for you and your family and how they would be of benefit? Or were you just wanting to know how they work because it's a whole new way of selling and living in your home? Right? So these are very engaging conversations. And then now, like I said, you're using this tool ultimately to get to that relationship piece, which, again, everybody knows. I'm a huge fan. We use these tools to ultimately, everything comes back down to building a relationship, right? So when I can build that relationship, but I'm using these vehicles to get myself into the real estate conversation. This is where marketing and advertising, right? So a lot of times I think I've definitely had this conversation with a lot of very sophisticated people in the real estate industry that they kind of think that they fall in the same bucket, right? So marketing, because you can technically market a message that you're having to pay for, right? So postcards, clearly you're paying for that, but you're obviously bringing an advertisement to a determined audience. And then when you have things today that, we can scan the QR code and potentially lead capture, get them to register, all of those types of frameworks, right? The conversation is almost around the advertising, right? But at the end of the day, the advertisement piece that I want to be clear on is where we're paying to get my message in front of a predetermined audience, okay? Now, with a ton of the filtering and, fair housing and all these things that have gone on, I can't be as finite as I could, years ago when we started all of this. But with that said, one of my favorite strategies right now that I talk about is being able to use this particular landing page, because when we look at the level of intent, right, this is kind of like meeting that consumer where they're at. This is 1,000% why you need to do both, okay? Both. Number one, you want to ask people, hey, do you want a cash offer on your house? Because those are high intent, usually more ready, 12 months or less, kind of people, right? I know the numbers say 18 months or less, but still very accurate. Higher intent, looking to do something more times sooner than later. That 6 to 18 month window is what a lot of the studies data show around it. This is a different level of intent where, hey, Elliot, monitor your home's value, access trends, and insights and selling options for your home instantly. Explore, a no out-of-pocket home improvement sale. Right now, some of that stuff is, what does that mean? How do I explore this particular option? And so this is where, again, I want you guys to look at being able to post this on your social media, right, which is zero cost. You want to run this inside of email campaigns to where, like, for example, we hook you up with the launch campaign, and the launch campaign, you can take a GIF and put it inside of an email campaign if you want, and run this so that it's more. That's obviously a little bit more of a sophisticated strategy. Or you can take an image inside the campaign, hyperlink it, they click it, it pulls them in here, right? And that's where we get that marketing congruency. Then now it's particular active, right? For example, you can do one-off email sends where you're just saying, hey, would you like to know your home's value instantly? Home values have changed a ton in the last 90 days. Click here to get your home's value instantly. Very, very simple CTAs, right? And people understand that, hey, obviously they're going to need to put in their address. They're going to need to register in that. So the people that are going to be clicking on that are going to anticipate the registration. And the beauty of what we really deliver in Zoodealio is it truly is instant, and they'll be able to see the options. And then, of course, you're now lead capturing. So I highly encourage everybody to look at this, just because, again, it's a zero-cost game on that piece of it. Do yourself a favor. Make this part of your weekly posting strategy. Have different variations. Use the graphics inside of the, I think I maybe have this up here. Yeah. Use the different graphics inside of the marketing library, right, where you can showcase that you have the Amazon of house selling, instantly get your home's value, see or no out of pocket, home improvement sale, right? Improve your house for top dollar and use no money out of your pocket, right? So these are all different calls to action that are inside this from a graphic standpoint that you can post. The copy is there for you, and then where you're pulling them back to is that particular sign up page, okay? So the landing page, again, from a different variation, again, marketing standpoint, frameworks that we're talking about here, you have the asset, which is the graphic, the copy, which pulls them through, and then the landing page needs to be congruent with the offer that was made on the social platform or the email campaign. So again, the reason why I like these types of things is it's absolutely something that we can set. And even if you're not getting any lead sign up, what I love about social media marketing is that you create so much awareness. And when you have people that are engaging with your stuff on social media, then all of a sudden they're also getting your email campaign, right? You hit them multiple different ways, and even though they chose to sign up on the email campaign or the text message that you sent them, it was the multiplication of the effort that got them to actually take initiative, right? So I think that's such a mistake that so many all entrepreneurs, but agents do in general, is they just do it once or in one medium and don't really tap in to, again, doubling down and multiplying the effort through different mediums. So now on the advertising piece, right, that's exactly we can now tap into, sell my house fast, right? These are key words, key phrases that we can put in places like Google, Bing, Yahoo, right? All of the different search engines. Now, granted, most people do focus on Google because roughly 85% of all search traffic is done on Google. Of course, that includes YouTube. But that's where I think YouTube is an underutilized piece. And so you have video assets inside of the marketing library that I highly recommend you look at using. And those of you that are running ads on YouTube, do yourself a favor, use those because, again, they're great, compelling lead-ins. Okay, so let's go into the framework and introduce you guys to the 3M's concept. So this is really the market, right? So the market is really the audience, in which, like I said, this again is Dan Kennedy's really intellectual property that I'm speaking on here. And like I said, this 3M's is in a book called Magnetic Marketing that he has several pieces on this. So again, those of you that love books, check out Magnetic Marketing by Dan Kennedy. Amazing book. And frameworks, outlines, business plans, etc. Okay, so this market, right? So let me speak to that real quick because I think that this is so important. So many times people will say, all right, the market is Chandler. The market is Gainesville. the market is Orlando, the market is Atlanta, the market is Austin, the market is Sacramento, right? As an example, where I want you guys to actually shift your thinking around that, where you can 100% be doubling down on people that are going to sell, right? Let me predetermine an audience of people that are likely to sell. I've lived in my house for 10 plus years. Right there, a lot of times that's going to put you in the upward statistic of likely selling. Then you have other things like that where you've lived in your house for let's play. I always play the older and bigger. Let's play the other end of the spectrum where you live in a 1,500 square foot house and you have a household of 5 or more. Right? It's highly likely that you're going to be growing out of your house, and you potentially could be wanting some options around that. And now we scale out. We want to be able to run those lists, right? So vehicles like Remind, PropStream, Property Radar, My Plus Leads, different people that will what I call them almost like list builders. Of course, they all have lead side of it too. But these other platforms allow you to run these filters depending on what's available and non-disclosure, disclosure. Market will allow you to aggregate that particular data. Well, now we can get that list, right? Now from there, we want to be able to start marketing to that list. And then that's where, again, being able to reverse look up some of the email addresses, or one of my beautiful, a way to get around all of this stuff, right? And you want to just fast track some of this is actually Facebook geofence, right? One of the things I refer to as, kind of dropping a pin around an area. But you can actually do this very, very intelligent. So what you want to do is focus on usually a higher turnover ratio area, okay? There's parts of your city that if you go in and look in the property radars, or like I just said, that you can absolutely find that turnover rate. And what that is, just for everybody to be clear, make sure I'm communicating, is how many people are selling that particular year based off of usually the previous years. So what is that the turnover rate of that area? Now, turnover rate right now, because of the lower interest rates, higher prices, rates that are still teetering, have definitely slowed down. But there again, that's where we want to be able to, typically you want to try to find turnover rates of 8% or higher. But right now, if we can find turnover rates of 6 or higher, you're usually going to be doing, pretty good. So back to the strategy. Okay, so now we have a certain area of town, a zip code, right? That we can do that, or even, again, Midwest zip codes can be very small, and a lot of times these radiuses are going to be, a 30-mile radius, so they're quite big. But what we do from there is we then run our marketing campaign, which is that. The asset, right? So the image, the video, the simple call to action on the social. So we're talking about Meta here, so Facebook and Instagram, that you would be able to blanket and circulate your value proposition. And it's very, very straightforward because you don't have to usually go through the fair housing practice piece of it, because there's no targeting, right? It's literally, if you come inside that 30-mile radius based on the budget, the people that are watching or that are on social, your ad will potentially be served up to them. Okay, so that's where that compelling engagement comes in. Now, there's a second double down piece I love to talk about on this, is you want to have a retarget built on to the people that engage with that ad. Okay, so the people that watch it for 3 seconds, click it, but don't necessarily sign up, you want to have a retarget to them that'll maybe pull them through through your ad funnel a little bit clearer. Okay, and so when we do that, that's where we're going to pull them in. Your ads are going to continue to reserve them. And what's great about that 30-mile radius is they can come into that 30-mile radius, and then all of a sudden they have to drive to the other side of town. your retarget is now stuck to them, right? It's almost kind of like a little, tag along sticker, whatever, those things that you're walking on the beach, they jump on you and you take them back to your car and you're picking them off. That's a framework when it comes to advertising where we want to use this blast landing page or all of these pieces. Well, the other cool thing is once they register for a lot of this, well, now guess what, guys? We got their email address. So now we can play the long game with them. And then that's where the blast notifications are going to be constantly being served up to them. And when we're talking about monitoring their home's value, trends, insights, like I said, a bunch of other really cool things that are coming down the pike, this is going to become a highly, highly engaging monthly thing. So that's where I want us to, again, get your list together, get them inside there, because it helps you scale up your message to the marketplace and on the medium, like the social media platform, right? So the medium piece, I don't know if I was so clear on that. Let me make sure I am clear. On the medium piece, right, is how are you communicating? So a medium could be a telephone call, could be a text message, could be a direct message /IM, could be social media, could be the internet, key phrase, keywords, etc. Right? So the medium in which I'm communicating my message and the market that I'm wanting to deploy my message to, right? So that's always a success ladder, because it's all about, hey, is this market internalizing my message, and are they interacting with this particular medium, right? So like for once upon a time, when I very first got in the business, it was magazines and newspapers were a medium, right? They're zip zero or next to zero now. But just giving you guys an idea on that. Okay, so as we go into the marketing library, just a refresher for everybody, right? The social media is where the assets are there. I know everybody should be very familiar with that. That's where you can download. More times, they're usually a Canva link, so you can go in and edit them, make them your own. Joy, you can customize it to yourself. Andrew, to yourself. Soledad, to yourself, right? You can put in your own branding, your headshot, the colors that are appropriate so that it makes sense. Then we're driving those back to those particular landing pages. The video assets that we were talking about in this today, again, if you haven't ever checked those out, right, like the Show Me the Money video, there's a reason why we've left that one in there long. And I am diligently working on some new things. It's been an initiative with our videographer team for a minute, that hopefully some more really cool, compelling videos like this will come in, and you guys will just be able to throw on your brokerage, your credentials right at the end of those videos, so that again, it's all about stopping that scroll, right? And motion stops the scroll statistically more than a compelling graphic. Next thing I want to get into here is the scripts, right? This piece right here. We recently have put out a new script book on a lot of this. Austin kind of oversaw this, and I know he diligently worked on this, so kudos to him. This outlines really the framework, tonality, upswings, downswings, right? Like all these types of things, which is really what I call the language of sales. The importance of how we're delivering the message, and ultimately giving you the framework of how you're going to say when you want to say it. So these are things that you definitely want to be looking into, right? This is all very much so prospecting based. The other two things are advertising and marketing based, depending on how you want to scale them out. Again, for simplicity, marketing, you're just taking that asset, you're scaling it out to the people that you know, using usually non-paid mediums, platforms to be able to get your message out there. I do consider postcard marketing, even though that there's cost to it, I personally consider that marketing, okay? Advertising, I really, to me, is Google, Bing, Yahoo, Meta, and again, I don't really personally mess around with TikTok and things like that, but that's Kayla's more of an expert in that arena than I am, so I'll let her speak to it. Okay. Then the last thing, let's see. Oh, this right here is something else I want to show you guys. I love it that Kayla actually introduced this to me, and I think it's just been such gold ever since she did. This is absolutely a framework that I recommend you guys go do this. So they actually have a freemium, and then you can upgrade it. And I think it's very nominal, like $10 a month or something like that. This is what I was talking about before. So I want you guys to really think on that, and I'm happy to do an entire session on it where I can show you guys the frameworks of, again, I'll use those little, those hooks that I gave you before, how to sell your house yourself in 2024, how to sell your house for cash and get top dollar in 2024, right? These are all different little hooks, right? You literally can go into Chat GPT, ask that question and say, hey, Chat, I'm looking to write an ebook. How should I do this? And then put in the hook, how to buy a house in 2024 and get a great rate. How to buy a house in 24 with no money down, right? So these are all different things that you can do that you're going to now take this book, put it inside of Chat GPT, the hook, right, that I had here. Hey, and then you can always go in there and say this section here, or how can we reword this, right? Then from there, when you get happy and you bite size it down and it's very confined, you can then take this, put it into Hazine, which is, a script book. Excuse me, I jumped over a step. I highly recommend that you make it, pretty. So you would do that in Canva. But now you have the content, and then your graphics and all of the free stuff that you get inside of Canva is going to make this very, very cool. Then from there, we download it from Canva and we upload it to Hazine. Next thing you know, you got yourself a lead magnet. So everybody who wants this, you can set up a reg page on this. Would you like to get this, right? So then now we make them register to download it. And then from there, again, even though I already have their contact information, I'm capturing engagement. I'm 100% lead generating. So let me give you guys a very clear takeaway one on this. Let's say I'm working with IDX, because this is such a huge pull for most agents out there. You have a list of 2,000 IDX people that you've talked to one times or no times, right? So that's your lead pull, just because that's the nature of that beast. Well, now all of a sudden, I'm going to take those 2,000 people, I'm going to send out this campaign to them that says how to buy a house with no money down in 24, book 1. How to get the best rate in 24, book 2. How to buy a house and navigate the home inspection, book 3, right? So these are just all things that I just obviously pulled off the top of my head, but now this is a nurture sequence that you guys are pulling these people through. This is you're upstepping the value ladder when you do this. And a lot of times, depending on what you're bringing and the level of intent that you're wanting to capture, sometimes, right, you can launch this out, let them have book 1, right? Now they're doing that. And then now maybe we do a follow-up message to that inside my campaign, right? So this is something that you would build in your CRM. And then in the CRM, we're capturing that open and give them something to click inside that. And then now if we're capturing that click, those are registering as leads to you. Now that's who you're focusing on calling, okay? So again, that's a very, very scalable lead generation strategy that I just gave you guys. So take it, adopt it, put it into play. And then the other thing too, I really want to encourage everybody on is, kind of I'll plug some Kayla's stuff and the other training that we have going on. I know that we're all busy and doing deals, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. But I highly encourage you to plug into Kayla's coaching, obviously some of the past frameworks of list building strategies that I give you. These are all things, guys, that how we're going to break through these ceilings of achievement. I shared this actually with my team here last week, and I'll leave you guys with this parting thought. There is a book by 21 Laws of Irrefutable Leadership. It's called The Law of the Lid, and in short, you can put a grasshopper inside of a glass jar and it will find its way out within, seconds every single time it jumps right out of there. You put that same grasshopper inside of a glass jar. You put a lid on it. You screw it on and let it jump, ping, jump, ping, jump, ping. And after about a minute, it conditions itself. It won't jump high enough to what would be higher than the lid. Well, now you can take that lid off, and that grasshopper will die of starvation and never be able to jump outside of that glass jar. Obviously, we're not grasshoppers, but we all have the law of the lid that exists within us. And so what I want to challenge you guys to do by embracing Kayla's coaching, by going to to Kai's marketing, attending the cash offer workshops, all of the different strategies that we bring to you. Zoodealio is the vehicle. It is the map. It is the fuel. But really at the end of the day, you have to be the operator. And so by embracing these particular strategies, you are going to break through your lid, your ceiling of achievement. So with that said, I encourage you guys to make unrealistic things happen this year. Like I said before, we're 5 days into the second month of the year already. We're more than 1/12 of the year over, and just a great time to ultimately get into action and go out there and get your unfair advantage. Encourage everybody on is I'll plug some Kayla's stuff and the other training that we have going on. I know that we're all busy and doing deals because that's what we're supposed to be doing, but I highly encourage you to plug into Kayla's coaching, obviously some of the past frameworks of list building strategies that I give you. These are all things, guys, that how we're going to break through these ceilings of achievement. I shared this actually with my team here last week, and I'll leave you guys with this parting thought. There is a book by 21 Laws of Irrefutable Leadership. It's called The Law of the Lid, and in short, you can put a grasshopper inside of a glass jar and it will find its way out within seconds every single time it jumps right out of there. You put that same grasshopper inside of a glass jar, you put a lid on it, you screw it on and let it jump, ping, jump, ping, jump, ping, and after about a minute it conditions itself. It won't jump high enough to what would be higher than the lid. Well, now you can take that lid off and that grasshopper will die of starvation and never be able to jump outside of that glass jar. Obviously, we're not grasshoppers, but we all have the law of the lid that exists within us. And so what I want to challenge you guys to do by embracing Kayla's coaching, by going to Kai's marketing, attending the cash offer workshops, all of the different strategies that we bring to you. Zoodealio is the vehicle. It is the map. It is the fuel. But really at the end of the day, you have to be the operator. And so by embracing these particular strategies, you are going to break through your lid, your ceiling of achievement. So with that said, I encourage you guys to make unrealistic things happen this year. Like I said before, we're 5 days into the second month of the year already. We're more than 1/12 of the year over, and just a great time to ultimately get into action and go out there and get your unfair advantage. Hey, as always, thank you so much for being with us today. I hope that you enjoyed this Level Up Your Lead Gen, whether it's me, whether it's Kayla. Come be a part of the community at Zoodealio. Within Zoodealio, there is so many tools, benefits, ways to grow your business that, it's one of the things I always share with my outreach team. It's like sharing with our agent partners, putting in $1 so that you can get 10 in return. And when we can do that and really just maximize your business, this is the way to do it.